Donald Trump agrees to our demand on Saturday to hold a meeting in the Oval Office to try to avert a government shutdown. The meeting is set on Monday for later on in the week, and then Donald Trump wakes up Tuesday morning and goes on an unhinged rant and cancels the meeting. Why? Because he doesn't want to discuss the Republican health care crisis, and they've decided to shut the government down.
Donald Trump and the Republicans are threatening to shut down government because they rather take health care away from millions of people than keep the government open. Look, at the end of the month, the federal government runs out of money, and that means Congress needs to pass a new budget. But here's the thing. This budget fight is about saving health care for millions of people. Health insurance premiums are skyrocketing. Hospitals and clinics are closing. Cancer treatment for children is being canceled. Why? All because Republicans in Congress gutted health care like the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid. But rather than address this health care crisis, the Republicans just want to shut government down. It's amazing the lengths these Republicans will go to make sure that a visit to the doctor is even more expensive. Republicans need to get serious, restore health care, and avoid a government shutdown.
Donald Trump just outsmarted Democrats again. Democrats are threatening to shut down the government if they don't get what they want in the legislation Trump's trying to pass. But this is a win-win for Trump, and they don't realize that. Because Trump would love every excuse to just not pay federal employees and fire them through a government shutdown. So Democrats have two options. Either shut down the government and let Trump fire as many people as he wants, or keep the government open by working with Trump and passing the legislation he wants to pass.
You know, Orange Napoleon is right. I remember when the capital city was overtaken by violent gangs of bloodthirsty criminals and roving mobs of, well, not youth, MAGA. It was a cold day in January. I think was it the 5th? Was it the 6th? But on that day, Trump couldn't send in the National Guard. I guess violent mobs attacking the Capitol Police, threatening lawmakers, and literally shitting all over our government buildings wasn't enough of a threat. No, they get pardons and jobs. Trump's Department of Justice just hired a J6er who was on tape urging rioters to kill police. But this law-abiding citizen who even admitted to saying this is a valued member of Trump's administration. And despite his hyperbole, or rather lies, Washington, D.C. is not one of the most dangerous cities in the world. It's not even the most dangerous city in the United States. Where's the talk of Memphis, New Orleans, St. Louis? No mention of any of those. No, he's not going after crime. He's militarizing against Democrats.
We have some news right now. Donald Trump has backed out of a meeting with Democratic leadership, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, ahead of what many expect to be a government shutdown in now just 1 week. Previously, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer both requested a meeting with Donald Trump to sit down and talk about how to keep the government open. And while in response, Donald Trump initially said, of course, we'll sit down for a meeting later this week. But today, Donald Trump announced that he will be backing out of the meeting because Democratic leaders apparently have not essentially caved to his demands in time. And as a result, we're now barreling towards a government shutdown. Here's the thing. Republicans can't keep the government open on their own. Senators need Democrats on the Senate side to come and vote for their bill. And right now, there is no consensus on it. And so we're barreling towards a government shutdown in 1 week's time. And really, there's really not much that can be done to stop it. So we'll see what happens. Spread the word. Full breakdown on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along for all the news you need to know about. More to come soon.
Trump threatening to fire all of these federal workers and gut these agencies in the event of a government shutdown should not be something that is entertained by the Democrats. He is going to do this anyway. It's part of the plan to gut these federal agencies. This is just the perfect time to announce it so that it looks like it's the Democrats' fault when they do this. But they're already begging federal workers that they have mass fired to come back. If the Democrats allow the Trump administration to treat these workers like hostages, then they have already acquiesced to the framing that he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And we know that the Supreme Court is just giving decision after decision, basically allowing him to do this, but you can't just stop the fight. Government shutdowns aren't something that should ever be on the table, but the Republicans have normalized that shit. They do it all the time. They love it. And the argument used to be that Democrats would do whatever they could to not have the government shut down, because the Republicans always wanted to prove that the government doesn't work by breaking it, and a shutdown is the perfect opportunity to spread that narrative. But a vote for funding this government at this point in time, at the last point in time, is unacceptable. The Democrats keep giving in to fascist framing, and they have to stop. If you accept the flawed framing of this administration, you have already lost before you even came into battle.
At the demand of Donald Trump, Republicans in Congress are refusing to even speak to the Democrats right now to avoid a government shutdown. Listen to what Senator Murphy had to say about this, because it's absolutely crazy.
There's no negotiation happening because Donald Trump has told Republicans, don't talk to Democrats. So right now we are less than 2 weeks away from the government running out of money, and Republicans are refusing to speak to Democrats.
Think about how reckless what they're doing truly is, and the Democrats aren't even asking for anything massive either. No new sweeping programs, no trillion-dollar bills, none of that. All they're trying to do is prevent insurance premiums from being increased by 10 to 20% on millions of Americans with ACA coverage. They're just asking the Republicans in Congress to not make life more difficult for working families. And when it comes to the budget, Senator Murphy makes a very good point. The president is supposed to follow the law. If Congress passes a budget, then it's not optional. It's not a suggestion. But Trump is acting like he's a king, spending money however he wants to, rewarding his allies and punishing his enemies, of course, while ignoring the law entirely. So what are the Democrats asking for? Don't raise premiums, don't break the law, and don't tank the economy. That is it. But Republicans in Congress will not even come to the table. They don't care about serving their constituents. They care about serving Donald Trump. They're letting him dictate chaos, and it's going to lead to millions of Americans being impacted by a government shutdown. From federal workers to families relying on food assistance to veterans waiting on their benefits. They're willing to gamble with people's livelihoods just to score political points.